Here's what's happening now. Our coldest day of the work week almost behind us, and we're ready to break more records before the weekend. Doc?
Experts say half the people who have Alzheimer's disease don't even know it. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Tonight in Good Health, a disturbing trend involving treatment that could be making a bad situation worse.
Also today, deportations and discrimination. President Trump and the Homeland Security Department are making news. Up first, suspect shot. Why U.S. Marshals say they were forced to use force against one man. The latest First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. Let's start on the city's west side where a fugitive was shot by U.S. Marshals. The shooting happened near Linwood and Tuxedo Streets. The fugitive is identified as Edward James Burgett, who was wanted for breaking parole and motor vehicle theft. The marshals say they were forced to shoot him after he backed out of a driveway and rammed into an officer's vehicle. Witnesses heard gunshots, and then
all of a sudden, you heard a gunshot. Blah, blah, blah. He fell in the field. Then that's when you heard all these police cars just coming out of nowhere.
The suspect is listed in serious condition at this hour. Detroit police and Michigan State Police are investigating the shooting. An emotional plea for help today from the family of an Oakland County murder victim. It was July 30th of last year when 31-year-old Alexandra Bruger was found shot along Fish Lake Road in Rose Township. She later died. There were reports of a light-colored sedan speeding in the area at the time, but the case remains unsolved. Her family hopes someone has information that will help.
I don't know if it's indifference, I don't know if it's fear, but any kind of information that you might have, even if you don't think it's important, just find your voice.
There is a $7,500 reward for information leading to an arrest. Anonymous tips can be called in to Crime Stoppers of Michigan at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. The Russell Industrial Center forced to close after receiving dozens of fire and safety violations. Residents have been moving out all day long. It was my Local 4 Defender investigation earlier this month that uncovered dozens of fire and structural violations at the center, which is located on Clay Street. The center's 184 tenants are in the process of being ordered to leave. Our undercover cameras have been following some new developments at the Russell Center over the past few days, and I'm going to share with you some of that footage and take you behind the scenes of this developing story. My special report tonight at 5. Detroit's Mayor Mike Duggan will deliver a critical State of the City address tonight. He's running for re-election this year. You can see the mayor's address tonight at 7 here on Local 4. We'll also be streaming live at clickondetroit.com. By the way, the Jeopardy College Tournament episode will air at 3:30 in the morning. If you're interested, set your DVR. Well, we did see some rain today, but the temperature's still feeling like spring. And Ben, I understand we're still headed up.
Yeah,
this is some crazy February.
This is going to be one of the coldest afternoons that we have to get through this week. We're only going up from here at least until the weekend, and we still have a couple remnants of these showers hanging down towards the state line. The rest of us are drying out, and we're going to be clearing out before too long, but we still got a lot of the clouds out here. Even with that, temperatures are approaching 60 degrees here in Howell. We've seen some 60s in our west zone already. Otherwise, it's 50s for everybody. And as we get through the evening, temperatures start to clear out. Could see some fog by morning. But our first record that's in jeopardy is tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk about whether we break that and look forward to possibly some strong storms by the end of the week. That's all in a few minutes. Karen?
All right, thank you, Ben. New orders on deportation, and President Donald Trump talks about discrimination after a visit to the African American History Museum. Devin Skillion is following both stories for us and joins us in the newsroom. Hi, Devin.
Hi there, Karen. Let's start with the immigration enforcement. Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly signed off on a series of memos which essentially rewrite the nation's enforcement priorities. Those changes will make more people the targets of law enforcement. The new plans target anyone for deportation who is in the U.S. illegally and has been arrested for or even suspected of a crime, and that includes relatively minor offenses, things like shoplifting. Enforcement will include an obscure law that would send anyone caught illegally crossing the border back to Mexico, even if Mexico is not the country from which they originally hailed. 5,000 new Customs and Border Patrol agents would be hired to take part in the enforcement, and the plan includes work for constructing a border wall with Mexico and also finding ways to fund that wall. In the meantime, President Trump toured the new National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington. That tour came as the president was learning about an outbreak of anti-Semitic threats and vandalism targeting Jewish community centers. The president said the tour was a reminder that we all have to fight bigotry in all of its forms.
The anti-Semitic threats targeting our Jewish community and community centers are horrible and are painful, and a very sad reminder of the work that still must be done to root out hate and prejudice and evil.
As you hear from most visitors, the president said there was more to see at the museum than what he could take in one day, and said he plans to return to see more because the museum is, in his words, really incredible. Karen, back to you.
It definitely is. All right. Thank you, Devin. First at 4, we're on top of stories making headlines around the world this Tuesday. Let's start with this dramatic video of a light plane crashing in Australia. The plane crashed on top of the roof of a shopping mall in Melbourne, killing all 5 people on board. The U.S. State Department has confirmed 4 of those people were Americans. Police say the plane suffered engine failure just after taking off, and the mall is near the end of the runway. No one on the ground was injured. 3 huge restaurant chains will soon be under the same ownership thanks to a new billion-dollar deal. Restaurant Brands International is buying Popeye's Chicken for $1.8 billion. The company is known for buying well-known fast food chains with an eye on major expansion. The same company already owns Burger King and Tim Hortons. You know, the Fisher Building is one of the most iconic buildings ever built in the city of Detroit. But do you know what's happening inside the Fisher right now? The building is close to a century old and needs a little tender loving care. Nick Monticelli shows us how this Detroit treasure is being restored very carefully.
When I first heard about this project, I got overwhelmed thinking about all of this, restoring the Fisher. And then I thought about the logistics, building scaffolding, 3 stories of scaffolding just to get to the ceiling. But then you realize the logistics are nothing compared to the detail and the intricacy. Look at this stuff. It's all hand painted from 1928.
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything. We got some gold leaf going on, got stencils, got tracing, got color matching.
A little bit of everything that many of us know nothing about.
Brush the edges away.
That is where Brad Stewart comes in, an expert in restoring art with an impressive resume.
Well, I've worked in the U.S. Capitol on and off for about 10 years.
But this is one of Detroit's most iconic buildings. The Fisher was built in 1928, designed by Albert Kahn, who was given one rule.
The scope of work that the Fisher brothers gave to Albert Kahn was one sentence. It was, build us the most beautiful building in the world.
And it could be, again, thanks to this restoration. Water damage, people damage, and more brought it to a point where the owners decided to invest $400,000. Much of that is mechanical work, but they also decided to invest in history.
So as stewards of this building, we have an obligation to bring it back to its old glory.
And getting it back to its old glory is not easy. First, there is either new plaster or a new layer of real gold. And then in many areas, Stewart has to trace a section and duplicate it, painting it by hand, making sure it is just like the original. You would think this would be overwhelming because, after all, it is one of a kind.
This is a beautiful building, but the project size is small enough that I can actually sleep at night.
In the Fisher Theater, Nick Monticelli, First at 4.
A very special spot in our city. Thank you, Nick. Still ahead, First at 4, attention online shoppers. Amazon is fighting back against Walmart, and you're the winner in this battle. Up first, singer David Cassidy broke a lot of hearts back in the 1970s. Well, now, hearts are breaking for a different reason, but health advocates are applauding his bravery. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge has a related story coming up in Good Health.
Experts say half the people who have Alzheimer's disease don't even know it. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Coming up, a disturbing trend involving treatment that could be making a bad situation worse.
Coming up all new on Local 4 News at 5 and 6.
New information on the mysterious disappearance of Danielle Stislicki.
We're moving in the right direction.
Sources confirming certain items confiscated that could be linked to the missing Farmington Hills woman.
We also visit Danielle's hometown, talking to those who knew her well.
My best childhood memories are with her, you know.
What happened to Danielle?
Don't miss My Defender's investigation. That will be tonight at 5, and we sure hope that you will join us then. All right now we've got some sad news for fans of former teen heartthrob David Cassidy. He's announced he's battling dementia. He's now 66 years old, and the announcement comes after Cassidy was performing in California this weekend and then struggled to remember lyrics to his songs. Cassidy skyrocketed to fame back in the 70s as part of the television's The Partridge Family. He tells People magazine he will now step back from touring to focus on enjoying life. Now, dementia advocates are applauding Cassidy for speaking out about his diagnosis, particularly since it is in the early stages. Experts hope it will encourage others to seek testing and treatment. Our Dr. Frank McGeorge joins us now with a closer look at a disturbing tendency involving Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of dementia.
Alzheimer's specialists around the world are noticing an alarming trend. Many patients with early stage disease aren't being treated. They're not getting an early diagnosis, or they're not taking prescribed medications. And that is making a bad situation worse. Many people don't even realize 87-year-old Bob Rosenfield has Alzheimer's. He was diagnosed 7 years ago. His wife Susan makes sure he takes his medications every day and believes they've made a big difference.
I don't think Bob would be able to make his breakfast or lunch or help with dinner or work on a computer or go to a movie and talk about it.
Can't race like I used to, but I can do a lot.
Alzheimer's expert Dr. Gary Small says patients often stop taking medications in the early stages of Alzheimer's because they or their families don't see improvement.
Many studies have shown that they help patients stay at a higher level of functioning longer. They don't cure the disease, but they do have an impact on people's lives.
Small also finds people avoid getting early memory loss checked out for fear of an Alzheimer's diagnosis, but that delays them from taking drugs to slow down the symptoms.
It's going to be easier to protect a healthy brain rather than try to repair damage once it becomes extensive.
Go up to here and hit Google.
Bob is also eating a healthy diet, exercising, and going to a memory care class to help him stay sharp. They hope that, along with medication, will continue helping for years to come.
I think if you don't take it, you pay a penalty. You are giving away quality of life.
People with Alzheimer's disease live an average of 8 years after the symptoms become obvious to others, but a person can live up to 20 years with the disease if it's treated early and properly. So be on the lookout for memory loss that affects daily life, especially for getting new information. Now, misplacing objects, changes in personality, and difficulty planning or driving can also be warning signs. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Doc. Ben is back, and get ready for another gorgeous day tomorrow.
What an incredible February this has
been amazing.
And we're not done with it yet. Yeah, we could be breaking another record tomorrow. Right now, though, we still have the last sort of raindrops still hanging around the state line, but most of the showers that we saw have cleared the area. Didn't amount to much. In fact, the actual rainfall amounts have been 2 or 3/100ths of an inch. A lot of rain gauges here on the east side didn't even register anything more than a trace as those showers rolled through. And current temperatures mid-50s. Keep in mind that this is still well above average, even though it's not what we saw over the weekend, and it's not what we're expecting tomorrow as we watch the clouds clear out and could bust up another record pretty good in the afternoon. So as this front clears, we'll be ushering in some warmer air tomorrow. We'll start out with dry conditions. In fact, the clouds may actually clear a little bit tonight And then as fog starts to form, that'll translate to low clouds tomorrow. So not necessarily a bright start, but this will all go away pretty quickly in the afternoon. And that will allow temperatures to skyrocket into the mid 60s. And we should break that record of 65 set back in 1930. Cold front comes through, but it's not going to cool us down much as we go into Thursday, still in the 60s. And then as Friday approaches, warm front lifts north. This is Thursday night into Friday. We could see some showers overnight. Most of the day Friday is going to be dry and warm, but down here in this warm sector, that's where a severe storm threat could be brewing, and so we'll have to watch that very carefully for Friday night as we approach the upcoming weekend. 47 tonight. Fog and the clouds come back, but we probably will see some evening clearing before that happens. Here's your 4-zone forecast as we look at those record high temperatures tomorrow. Metro zone 63 in the city, 64 in Dearborn, probably overachieving past that 64 at Romulus tomorrow afternoon. Mid 60s, maybe as high 67, 68 down here near the state line tomorrow afternoon. West zone high temperatures will be in the mid 60s as well. And even in our north zone tomorrow, usually one of the cooler locations, just about everybody in the 60s, may hold on to the 50s though, closer to the lake tomorrow afternoon. But we're still going to keep those 60s around all the way through Friday, even before those thunderstorms start rolling in here to finish out the work week on Friday. Weekend looks a lot more like February. In fact, Saturday's high is going to be early. Then we're going to see those temperatures fall. So we'll be spending much of the day in the 30s on Saturday, only getting up to 37 for a high on Sunday. And then we slowly start working things back up next week. So if you've been missing winter, it comes back at least for a couple days here this weekend, but it's a whole lot of 60s before then. Karen.
All right, we can take it. Thank you, Ben. Well, you might call it pandemonium with a side of heartbreak. This panda is leaving the United States. Find out what flying first class means for one of the most popular zoo attractions in the world. Coming up, a frustrated mom strikes back against her college son. The trashy message she sent through the mail has a lot of people talking today. We've got trending stories next.
Our client with
In today's trending stories, some new savings for online shoppers. Amazon and Walmart are fighting for your business. And guess what? You win. Amazon has lowered its minimum order for free shipping to $35, and that is without being a Prime member. Walmart just cut its minimum for free 2-day shipping to $35 a few weeks ago. No matter where you shop online, though, remember to check those delivery charges. Also trending, the tech world is buzzing today about Apple. NBC News reports the company could be holding a surprise event next month where it could unveil a new line of iPads. Apple isn't commenting, but reports say there will be 3 new iPad models with features like a smart connector and rear-facing camera. Apple could also reveal a new red iPhone 7. We'll keep you posted. Also, it's been hard to avoid news about this adorable panda as Bow Bow says bye-bye to the United States. The panda was born at the Smithsonian's National Zoo 3 years ago, but is moving to China today. She's flying aboard a plane dubbed the Panda Express. They packed sweet potatoes, apples, 50 pounds of bamboo for that 16-hour flight. Bow Bow is going to a panda breeding center where she will help raise a new generation of baby pandas. Okay, this story is crazy. A photo of garbage going viral. A lot of parents can probably relate. The box of garbage was sent to a college student last month. His mom actually sent him 2 boxes, one filled with treats and the other, well, filled with trash. He called to ask her if the trash was some kind of mistake, but she said, oh, it was the garbage he was supposed to take out the last time he was home. He laughed and, of course, posted the photo online with, hopefully, a lesson learned. Your mom ever do anything like that?
No, but that's a mic drop for mom. I mean,
that is. You got to give her credit. Could you imagine? You're so excited. You're thinking you're getting like macaroni and cheese and snacks.
And she paid to have that shipped. God bless her.
I love it. All right, before we go to break, take a listen to this. Can this parrot really be singing a huge Eminem song? Judge for yourself. Coming up next.
Keith was heading home from a Michigan football game when his heart suddenly stopped. But he survived because a stranger stepped in.
There's an angel of mercy out there that may or may not know that what she did was very worthwhile.
Who was she? It's a mystery Keith wants to solve. Tonight at 11, the search for a guardian angel and how you can help find her.
Finally, first at 4. Did someone really train a parrot to sing Rihanna's verses in the Eminem song Monster?
Take a listen for yourself.
Okay, so what do you think, Ben? Is that editing, or you think it's the parrot?
If he's really singing, they're going to nominate him for a Grammy. That would be my guess.
It was, I don't know, I'm always amazed at those parrots, though. They can do a pretty good job. I'm trying to look to see if it's like lip syncing, but it's kind of hard to tell with a parrot.
You would think we'd have video of one doing this before, but I've never seen it.
I haven't looked. I'll do some investigating for you, Ben, and look for parrots singing. Thank you for joining us for First at 4. Inside Edition's next.